Hello, and welcome to Act 3 of Romeo and Juliet. I'm Tybalt Capulet, and I'm going to be leading you through Act 3. Let's talk about what happened in Act 2 as a refresher for our memories. So remember, Romeo and Juliet, my cousin, they just got married by Friar Lawrence at Friar Lawrence's cell. Act 3 is going to be the exact same day, just a little bit later. Romeo also came up with a plan where the nurse is going to place a rope ladder outside Juliet's window so that Romeo can go be with her tonight as man and wife. Let's talk about Act 3. So in scene 1 of Act 3, this is right after Romeo and Juliet got married. It's in a public place in Verona, and it is a very hot day. Like, so hot that you're miserable. So you're going to see Mercutio, Benvolio, and some of their men enter. And they're going to be joking around about fighting, and specifically fighting on such a hot day. So I would like you to please go ahead and pause this video and read to line 34 of scene 1. Did you read to line 34? Good. So here Benvolio is saying to Mercutio on line 1 of scene 1, let's retire. He says, the day is hot, the Capulets abroad. So remember, the prince said in Act 1 that if anybody were to start fights on the street of Verona again, they would be sentenced to death. So Benvolio's like, let's get out of here, let's go inside, it's too hot for us to be walking around. He says on line 4, for now, these hot days is the mad blood stirring. And they literally believe that the day is so hot that it makes your blood boil and it makes you angry easily. Have you ever been so hot that it made you mad? That's exactly what Benvolio's talking about. Well, Mercutio, being his stupid, funny self, starts making a bunch of jokes about Benvolio and saying how Benvolio is easily angered and likes to fight. But remember, Benvolio is like one of the nicest characters in this play, and he doesn't fight with anybody. So Mercutio's really just joking around here, and Benvolio's just kind of going along with it because his friend is being funny. Mercutio says all these things on line 16 all the way to line 30, and he's saying all these reasons that Benvolio would start fighting. He's like, on line 17, why, thou wilt quarrel with a man that hath a hair more or a hair less in his beard than thou hast. He's like, you'd start fighting with a dude if they had more or less hair in their beard than you. And then on line 19, he's like, thou wilt quarrel with a man for cracking nuts, having no other reason but because thou hast hazel eyes. He's like, you'd start a fight with a dude because he's cracking brown nuts and your eyes are brown. And then on line 24, he's like, thou hast quarreled with a man for coughing in the street because he hath wakened thy dog that hath lain asleep in his sun. Mercutio's like, Benvolio, you would start a fight with a dude for coughing too loudly and waking up your dog. Now, obviously, none of this is true because Benvolio is too nice to ever start fights, but Mercutio's just joking around. And Benvolio on line 31 has a little comeback for Mercutio. He's like, and I were so apt to quarrel as thou art, any man should buy the fee simple of my life for an hour and a quarter. He's like, if I started fights as easily as you start fights, my life insurance would be crazy high. So they're just joking around, and then you're gonna see me and my gang enter. Now remember, we're the Capulets. Benvolio is a stinking Montague, and since Mercutio is Benvolio's friend, he's no better than the Montague scum. Now remember, the last time that you saw me was at the Capulet party at the end of Act 1. When I left the party, I swore that I would get revenge on Romeo for crashing my uncle's party. So I am on my way to try to find Romeo when I enter this next part of the scene. I want you to go ahead and pause me now and read to line 54. Did you read to line 54? Good. So Benvolio on line 35 is like, oh no, here come the Capulets. and Mercutio's acting like he's too cool. He's like, by my heel, I care not. As soon as I enter, I'm like, good gentlemen, may I have a word with you? Like I'm trying to be polite here. And stupid Mercutio on line 40 goes, couple it with something, make it a word and a blow. Like dude is straight up trying to start a fight with me. What's up with that? And I was like, you shall find me apt enough to that, sir, and you will give me occasion. I'm like, if you give me a reason to start a fight with you, then I for sure will. Anyways, so I'm like, do you guys know where Romeo is? Mercutio, thou consortest with Romeo, and I'm like, where is he? And Mercutio is being a butthole, and he's making all these stupid jokes. And Benvolio says, on line 50, either withdraw unto some private place or depart. Okay, so he's like, either get off the street and go talk in private, or everybody just leave, because Benvolio's trying to keep the peace, because he's like so nice. Mercutio's being stubborn, and on line 54, he's like, I will not budge for no man's pleasure. Then we see Romeo enter, which is exactly the guy that I was looking for. So I want you to find out in this next section what happens. Obviously, I'm out to get revenge on Romeo, but I want you to see how Romeo reacts to me. Go ahead and pause me now and read to line 71. Did you read to line 71? Good. So Romeo enters and I'm like, Romeo, thou art a villain. And Romeo is like, what? Why are you calling me a villain? On line 61, he's like, Tybalt, the reason that I have to lovely doth much excuse the appertaining rage to such a greeting. He's like, why are you getting all mad? I love you, man. Now remember, Romeo just came from his wedding, where he married my cousin. So I don't know that they're married yet, and I'm like, why is this dude telling me that he loves me? This is weird, because up until this point, we have been sworn enemies and would fight each other no matter what. So Romeo's trying to walk away from my fight, and I'm like, boy, this shall not excuse the injuries thou hast done me. Therefore, turn and draw. I'm like, turn and fight, take out your sword. So I'm challenging him. But Romeo continues to be a wuss and tries to leave. He's like on line 67. I do protest I never injured thee, but love thee better than thou canst devise, till thou shalt know the reason of my love. He's like, dude, I never hurt you, I love you, and I'm not gonna fight you. Be satisfied. Stupid Romeo. Now in this next section, what you guys are gonna see is Mercutio standing up for Romeo's honor. Back in this time period, if you were to turn down a fight, you were dishonoring your family's name. So I want you to go ahead and pause me now and read to line 121. Did you read to line 121? Good. So because Romeo's not willing to fight, on line 72, Mercutio calls him out. He's like, oh, calm, dishonorable, vile submission. So he's annoyed at Romeo because Romeo's not fighting. He's saying that he's being submissive and just letting me have my way with them. And so Mercutio says on line 74, Tybalt, you rat catcher, will you walk? So he's trying to start a fight with me to defend Romeo's honor. Well, of course, I'm not going to turn down a fight. So I draw and we fight. Ching, 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 ching. And while we're fighting, Romeo's trying to come between us. And he throws out his arm to hold Mercutio back. And I'm still ching, ching, fighting with him. And I stab Mercutio under Romeo's arm. So I stab Mercutio and then of course I run away because starting a fight on the streets of Verona is against the law and my life is on the line now. As soon as I leave, Mercutio starts talking to Romeo. On line 89 he says, I am hurt, a plague on both your houses. So he's cursing both the Montagues and the Capulets. This is another instance of foreshadowing. So Benvolio and Romeo are talking to Mercutio, finding out how bad his injury really is. They think that it's just a little injury. They don't think it's life-threatening. And Mercutio, while he's dying, is making all of these jokes. On line 97, he says, "Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man." Grave meaning both serious, but also talking about the grave in which he's about to be buried. Then he curses the houses again and asks Romeo on line 103, "Why the devil came you between us? I was hurt under your arm." So here, Romeo's best friend is dying and is blaming Romeo for his death. You have to imagine how Romeo feels about this. It's gotta hurt to have your best friend blaming you. Again, as Mercutio's dying on line 107, he curses their house for a third time. "A plague on both your houses." Benvolio helps Mercutio leave and try to go get help. And Romeo starts this kind of monologue talking about how his friend got hurt on his behalf, his reputation stained with Tybalt slander, Tybalt that an hour hath been my kinsman. So he's trying to grapple with everything that just happened. Benvolio comes back in and gives us the news on line 116, "Brave Mercutio's dead." So here we have our first death of the play, none other than the jokester Mercutio, who started a fight with me, Tybalt. So you're going to see me enter the scene again. Now I want you to see what happens when I come back in. I'm coming back because I still have some unfinished business. I still haven't dealt with Romeo. I'd like you to pause me now and read to line 139. Did you read to line 139? Good. So here in this section, when Romeo sees me coming back in, he starts to come at me. And he goes on line 126, "Now, Tybalt, take that villain back again that late thou gavest me, for Mercutio's soul is but a little way above our heads." He's like, "Call me a villain again and see what happens." And he says on line 130, "Either thou or I must go with him." And so he's basically like, "Tybalt, come and fight me to honor Mercutio's death." So now Romeo is fighting for Mercutio's sake because I killed him. So I'm like, well, sounds like a plan to me. So I pick up my sword and we fight. Ching, 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 ching. And then, Romeo stabs me and I fall. And I'm dead. Stupid Romeo. Then Benvolio is like, "Romeo, away, be gone. The citizens are up. Tybalt is slain. The prince will doom thee if thou art taken." So Benvolio's like, "Romeo, you gotta run, because if the prince finds you here, you're gonna hang. You're gonna be sentenced to death." Romeo, on line 138, has one of his most famous lines. He says, "Oh, I am fortune's fool," meaning I have bad luck. And then he leaves. Now, in this next part of the scene, you're going to see all of these citizens enter. You're going to see the prince enter, the Montagues, the Capulets. Everybody's coming to find out what happened. When they enter here, they're going to see Mercutio dead, and they're going to see Tybalt dead. Okay, and Benvolio's the only one that witnessed this whole thing that's sticking around. So see how this all plays out. The prince is going to give Romeo a sentence even though he's not there. So pay attention to what that sentence is. Go ahead and pause me now and read to the end of scene 1. Alright, you read to the end of scene 1? So here's what happens. We have all these people enter, and Benvolio sticks around and he tells them what happened. Lady Capulet is crying over me because I was her nephew, so she's really sad that I'm dead now. And Lady Capulet doesn't believe Benvolio's story, even though it's true. On line 81, Lady Capulet says, "He is a kinsman to Montague. Affection makes him false. He speaks not true." So Lady Capulet's like, he's lying right now. And on line 186, Lady Capulet begs for Romeo's death. She says, "Romeo must not live." The prince, being the reasonable guy that he is, he's like on 187, "Romeo slew him. He slew Mercutio, who now the price of his dear blood doth owe." He's like, well, a life was paid for a life, so I don't really know what to do in this situation. And then Montague says that Romeo was just carrying out the law by killing Tybalt. He says on line 190, His fault concludes, but what the law should end, the life of Tybalt. He's like, Romeo just followed the law. Tybalt would have died for killing Mercutio anyways, but Romeo took care of it, so therefore you shouldn't punish him. Well, the prince does punish Romeo, but he doesn't sentence him to death. The prince says on line 193, immediately we do exile him hence. Mercutio, remember, is the prince's cousin. So even the prince has lost somebody in this fight. So he banishes Romeo. And on line 200, he said, let Romeo hence in haste, else when he has found that hour is his last. So Romeo's punishment is that he has to leave Verona and never come back. Because if he's seen again on the streets of Verona, then he's going to be sentenced to death. And in exchange for Mercutio's death, his cousin's death, the prince's cousin's death, he's going to charge the Capulets and the Montagues a fee. So he's going to fine the Capulets and the Montagues. Quite the scene. I'm sorry to say that I was slain. But it was for a good cause, defending my family's honor. I'll continue to carry you through the rest of this act, even though technically I'm dead. Ooh, hope you don't frighten easily. This is where we're going to end for today. Make sure you subscribe to the Bear Bodkin Bard if you enjoyed this video and want to be updated on future posts. For now, get thee gone!